Good morning. Today I'll read to you chapters 65 through 68 of Thus Spake Christopher, my treatise on non-duality in theory and practice that is presented loosely in a format similar to Thus Spake Zarathustra. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I've got a couple of housekeeping measures to take care of, some panels to hide so I can see what I'm doing. And we're ready. As usual, you can find everything at www.docbenton.com. And you scroll down to the best of Doc Benton, and here you have a link for Thus Spake Christopher. So you can read the text online or download the whole thing. And now, let me begin my reading for today. Chapter 65. The man next asked, "Is creativity a spiritual path?" I began to answer, "Definitely so. All creativity, whether scientific or artistic, involves bringing the pieces of a puzzle together in order to bring about some new creation or insight. And this is also what the spiritual path endeavors to do. Spiritually, we wish to overcome duality by merging opposites into oneness, and every creative insight is a step in this direction. Furthermore, each creative insight is an utterance of its own that creates a new world, a world that did not exist prior to this creativity. Hence, whether you are an artist or a scientist, as long as you are creating, you are engaging in the merging of pieces back into oneness, and you are on a spiritual path. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 66. The man asked, "Is celibacy necessary?" I began to answer, "Celibacy is not necessary until it is. When one is young, the desire for the joy of the body is often overwhelming, and denying oneself that joy does not make it go away. At the same time, fulfilling that joy can lead to unwanted consequences. Nonetheless, even if you fulfill the joy of the body, then you will eventually realize that it is an unsatisfying experience unless the experience is also coupled with the joy of the heart. And eventually you may realize that the joy of the heart is much more precious than the joy of the body, and that the joy of the heart is enough in itself. However, as you get older, you may realize that there is an even greater joy, known as the joy of the soul, and that the joy of the soul contains both the joy of the heart and all other joys, while also being much greater than the joy of the heart. At this point, there will be no need for the joy of the body, and it may drop away of its own accord. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 67. The man then asked, "How can I be a blessing to others?" I began to answer, "You can be a blessing to others by giving to others, and this giving can take many different forms. You can give material things such as money or food. You can give emotionally through greeting people with a smile, showing kindness, being supportive, and being non-judgmental. And you can give intellectually through discussion and by sharing your thoughts and ideas. Some types of giving must be done in person, but other types are best done anonymously, so as not to embarrass the other person by highlighting that they have fallen into such a state of need. You can also give to another spiritually by briefly holding an image of that person in your mind's eye and seeing them surrounded by love and light. However, if you do this, then never try to say to the other person that they should do this or that, or that they should use the light in this way or that way. That is their choice and not yours. And that is why your attention should linger on the other only briefly, so that you do not overwhelm the other and inadvertently interfere with their freedom to make their own choices. As it says in the book of instruction, both the blessing and the curse are placed before us. And even though we are advised to choose blessing in life, we are still given the freedom to make our own choice. Thus, give this freedom of choice to others too. Also, if you're righteous, then pray for the whole world. Pray and visualize the whole world filled with light. And this way, you can be a light unto the nations. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 68. The man asked, "What is the mountain you ascended, and who can go up it?" I began to answer. The mountain is a metaphor for the deep spiritual journey we are all engaged in. All are welcome to ascend the mountain, but only a few will do so. The majority are afraid to go beyond a certain point, because traveling up the mountain requires growth and change, and that change requires facing the unknown. Thus, many people are content to stay at the bottom where lack of change is mistaken for comfort and security. Some will go halfway up the mountain only to stop. Some at this point will look upward and lead those below with visions at the top, while others at this point will look down and tell the people that only the narrow perspective that they see is indeed the correct one. Only a very few from any tradition will continue to the top to see the truth of things. However, to do so, they must leave the world. But by leaving the world, they will gain the world, while those who fail to leave the world will lose the world. The mountain is talked about in many traditions and has many names, but my ancestors called it by one that is well known to many. My ancestors called the mountain Sinai. Thus spake Christopher. And that's it for today. So let me stop sharing my screen. And I'm back. So I'll stop at this point. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Enjoy your day, your time here on planet Earth. And for now, just say so long and be well.